What is good? What is good, people? What is good? So we're back again with another video. Obviously, yesterday was Valentine's Day, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move this to Thursday because y'all know I've been doing Wednesdays, at 6 pretty faithfully the last 3 weeks now. So it's been pretty dope. It's been pretty dope, I will say. But I'm excited to be back with you guys again. If you guys can see the thumbnail or the topic, today we're going to be talking about finding and developing your passion and then sharing your message consistently. And obviously, y'all know how it goes. We start talking and then we'll keep rolling and we'll get into a whole bunch of other stuff. So y'all know how it goes, man. I'll let everybody kind of jump in. Um, I'll give it like a minute and a half, minute or two or whatever. If y'all could comment below, let me know if you guys can hear me, if you guys can see me well. Like I said, I want to make sure that my audio and my visual is always crisp and it sounds good before we get into a 30-minute video and y'all couldn't hear anything I said. So, yeah, I appreciate it if you guys comment below and let me know if you guys can hear me before we get into all of the video, man. We start talking about finding and developing your passion and then sharing your message consistently. We're going to go into a couple other things that it's crazy because as a content creator and someone who's been, passionately sharing my own messages for the last, 10, 15 years, whether it was on social media or whether it was private, a lot of the things that I've been doing, I didn't realize that they were behaviors of someone who wants to grow, who wants to, cultivate an audience. Like I was already exhibiting those behaviors. I just didn't know the correct terminology for it. So a lot of times when you're reading these different books, you'll discover different things about yourself. Kevin, I appreciate it, bro. I see you. I see you on Facebook this time instead of YouTube. So hopefully I'm showing up crisp and you guys can hear me well. I appreciate you tuning in again as always. Um, but so we're going to go through and we're just going to talk about, like I said, finding and developing your passion first. And I'll get into sharing your message consistently and showing up as you are. And we're going to go through a bunch of things. This time I actually took notes because I wanted to hit a couple topics. I wanted to make sure that I hit these topics and I didn't leave anything out. I wanted to make sure I gave this guy, gave this information to you guys and we didn't miss out on anything. So I definitely took notes this time. So I'm pretty excited to share some of the stuff that I wrote down. So let's get it. All right. So first, we're going to talk about finding and developing your passion. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in right now. It's about 3 minutes, so we'll get into it. We'll let everybody kind of jump in as they jump in. But when reading the book or whatever, and I'll tell you guys the book down the line, but one of the things that stood out to me was the methodology that they utilized in basically speaking to finding your passion. And it's things that we already do anyway. But when it's written out and you can kind of like, okay, step by step, see it, it makes it a little bit easier. So the 5 steps were, you go experiment. So experiment with, 1,000 things if you have to. Look at different things, try different things that maybe might pique your interest or whatever. And then obviously step two is just identify what's actually sparking your interest. So things you're like, man, that really sparked my interest. I enjoyed that. That's kind of cool. And then you dive in deeper on those things. So like basically you'll start off with a pool of, I don't know, let's say 10, 20 items or whatever. You just want to experiment and kind of see what you like, how you like it, right? And then from there, you'll say, okay, I'm really interested in this. Cool. So now you got it down to maybe like 6. Then you'll check those out and you kind of engage in those even deeper. So you're like, okay, let me go deep into those things or whatever to see if these are really things that I'm like passionate about. These things I really enjoy. And then if you're if your interest turns into like infatuation, then you're on to something. Then like, okay, I'm getting close to that passion level because you've already narrowed it down at that point. You've experimented, you've identified things that you were interested in that piqued your interest, and you engage deeply enough to where now you're like, okay, I've narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 things that I'm actually really, really interested in. And they come naturally to me. Like it's easy for me to, talk about it. It's easy for me to learn about it. It's not something that's difficult for me. So once you've done that, then you'll go to mastery. Mastery is like what you see a lot of times is like the final product. When you see people that have already blown up, who've already gotten the social accolades or awards or whatever it is because they've reached a level of mastery. So what you want to do at that point is you want to you don't want to think of like, okay, I want to be this finished product, obviously. But that's like the final step. That's like the passion step. That's the 10,000 hour step. So what you see is like the finished product, like I mentioned, but prior to that, it was like 10,000 hours of work. It was nonstop. It was every day. It was like going hard at your thing that you're the most interested in, the thing that you're infatuated with, the thing that you're, fascinated with, that just registers with your body like nothing else has. So that's like the methodology of finding like that passion. Obviously, I broke it down to steps, and I know you guys are like, man, it's probably gonna be more than just that. But if you really think about it step by step, it makes it a lot easier for you to um, digest and be able to put action items behind it. And we talked about this before, which was like basically analysis paralysis. So a lot of times people they don't actually see how to get somewhere because they're so overwhelmed with the steps to get there, if that makes sense. So when you're able to break stuff down into steps, and that's the reason why I did it that way, because I felt like in the book it broke it down very well. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to share this because I want people to understand that you can get to that goal. You can get to where you're trying to go to in life um, without feeling like, it's impossible or there's just so many things or you're just not interested or you're not good at anything when that's just simply not true. God has blessed you with so many gifts, so many different ideas, and He'll continue to bless you throughout your whole life. And when you think about it, it's like you can truly make any of these things come to fruition if you're willing to take the steps necessary to make that happen. And one thing that I always think about, even for myself, a lot of times, and I speak to myself when I say this a lot, is that if you're not if you're not living in your purpose and you're not doing, what God has called you to do, there's so many people out there that are being robbed of the blessing of you. And it's crazy to think about it like that, but it's like, man, by you not walking your purpose, like if Denzel Washington never became an actor, so many people who wouldn't have got the enjoyment or been inspired, or Chadwick Boseman wouldn't have got the scholarship to get to where he's at. So he's blessed so many other people because he walked in his passion. And that's the same thing for you, whatever your passion may be. It may not be like celebrity or whatever it is, but it could be whatever. And you're building that legacy of what you're doing. And you're blessing people along the way by being purposeful and being impactful and being in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing in life. So I want to kind of get you to digest on that a little bit because a lot of times people don't think of it like that. They feel like their actions are only affecting them, but your inaction is also affecting other people besides yourself. So with you not taking the next move, you're hurting people. And I want you guys to understand that because I know a lot of people are compassionate and they're good people and they want to really truly help other people. And that's how you do it. You truly help other people by being in alignment with who you are and being purposeful, finding your passion. Every single day when you wake up, you should be steadfast on, okay, let me figure out the things that I like. Yes, you have this whole schedule, you have your life you have to get to, but if you haven't found that thing that you're passionate about, that should be on your mind every single day. Every single day, regardless of your situation, you should say, okay, let me try something new here. Let me try drawing. Let me try this. And don't worry about the fact that it's not necessarily bringing you income or money or anything right now based off of that. That's not the goal of anything that I mentioned earlier. If you think about the 5 steps that I told you guys just then, it was all about just experiment with different things. And at no point did I say, are you making money with this? All I said was experiment with the different things, find what you're truly interested about, dive deeper into it. Then if once you find the things that are like fascinating to you, that register with you, that resonate simply and easily with you, that's like step 4. Then you go into the level of mastery, and then you spend that 10,000 hours, and you just level up. You get to that point. Think about somebody like Tiger Woods, like, a phenom, incredible, right? And he just spent so much time mastering that. And think about how many people he inspired to want to golf. You know what I'm saying? Just from all different colors, all different races, just people in general, like, man, just seeing that greatness up close. It's like, people wanted to be like that, regardless. So I want you guys to think of it like that when you're trying to find that passion, you're trying to identify, what it is that God has already put you on this earth to do. And God is going to continue to give you nuggets anyway. So this is just an exercise to help you along the way. But you'll get those nudges when you'll see those opportunities. And you'll be like, man, that came kind of easily. Wow, I've been praying about this. And now this connection just opened up. This opportunity just opened up out of nowhere. Or, I haven't even been doing this. I haven't even been promoting this, but somehow I got, this sale, or I got this opportunity, or whatever the case may be. And it just kind of constantly reminds you that you're on the right path. You're doing what God is putting you on earth to do. And it may not be at the speed that you want it to happen, or you may not see the income that you want to see right now, but it's going to come. You know what I mean? Just by you staying in alignment. So I just think that's something I want you guys to really resonate with when it comes to that. And then, once you found that passion and you found that thing that you love, and you're like, you know what, I want to have a level of mastery with it, then it's all about consistency at that point. So it's consistently showing up, it's consistently sharing your message, consistently understanding that you and only you can make this a reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone can give you the idea, someone could help you along the way, but you have to show up consistently in that. And it's all about just making it happen at the end of the day. So, like, even with me doing these lives, for example, me just hopping on, talking to you guys, that's a part of getting that message out there consistently. That's not something that I typically have done before. Like, typically I'll record the video and I'll be able to edit it. I get a certain message out, and then, boom, I'm uploading it, and it is what it is, which is a form of practicing. This is a form of getting my messaging out there to better fine tune and hone in on, what do I want people to feel when I'm speaking to them? How do I want to impact people? What messaging do I want to take to the next level? You know what I'm saying? Like, where am I leading people at the end of the day? So if you have a voice, you have to know, like, where do I want to lead people? Obviously, my mantra with the Cannon movement is learn, grow, inspire. So it's like, yeah, I want to teach people things or whatever. I want them to grow. And then I want them to then inspire other people to do the same thing. So, like, if that's the flow and that's the funnel, then how am I doing that with my messaging? Like, how is that working right now? Right. So that's where our mind goes to. So you have to think the same way when it comes to, even if it isn't like a motivational thing or inspirational thing for you, but also like a funnel or a product flow. You have to go from, okay, I want customer A or client A or person A to be here, and I want to flow them to this point. Hold on one second, guys. Randomly, my laptop's trying to go dead on me, which is crazy because it's on the charger. So this is super random. We can't have that happen. That'll mess up the whole flow. What is going on? That's plugged in. Yeah, it's charging. All right, give me a second, guys. Gotta make sure we good. All right, yep, we back in the game. All right, sorry about that. But man, I was on a roll too, man. I was really talking. You know what I mean? We live right now. We live. But oh yeah, so making sure that you're getting a person from, knowing where you want to take a person from. So client A, if you want to take them from, okay, they're a cold, reach person right now. So they don't really know about you. So first you have to bring awareness to what you do, right? So that's the first step. And then from there, you're like, okay, I want to make them more of a warm person. So now they know what you do, and you want to basically touch them different times. So 7 different touch points is what you're looking for when you're talking to a client. That's like the industry standard or whatever the case may be. So you're like, okay, I want them to get email. I want them to see me on social media. They may see a flyer in person. They may see a billboard, whatever it is. Like, they're getting 7 different touch points, even if it's email multiple times or whatever that case is. But before you do any of that, you have to know where you want to get the client. You want to know how you want them to feel when they're seeing your promotions, when they're seeing your advertisements. And you can't necessarily think of like, okay, I want them to turn over quickly. I want them to go from immediately a cold target to now I'm selling them on something, when you haven't built that brand recognition, you haven't built that trust. And the industry as a whole is kind of going more towards a personal touch when it comes to things. I don't know if you guys seen the Kanye West commercial or whatever, and I've seen some people kind of like doing iterations of it now, which is hilarious. But he paid $7 million for a 30-second slot on a Super Bowl, and he didn't use any production money to actually shoot the commercial. He just did a selfie, and he just said, hey, this is Ye. What do you say? He's like, this is Ye. I didn't spend any money on the production, so I just wanted you guys to know to go to Yeezus.com, and I'm putting everything $20. And he was like, and that's it. Like, and that was the whole commercial. And he made $20 million right after that. And obviously he marked everything down. So imagine if he, had kept it at the same price. But the point is that I'm noticing, as far as in advertising, people are going more towards a more a lower budget, like not so high production type thing. And that's resonating with more people than it has before, where people don't want to see as much of the flashy stuff. They want to really know who you are as a person. They want to really see if they can connect with you as a person. And can only happen if you're truly authentic to who you are. And you know what I mean? A lot of people ain't doing that. I appreciate you, Rosemary, for checking in. Thank you. Kevin, I appreciate it. I see Facebook user right here with the shouting emoji. I don't really know who that person is, but let me see if I can tap in and see real quick. Real recognize real. Anna Marie, I appreciate that. That's a fact. Hold on real quick. Let me tap in and see who this person is that shared. I always want to acknowledge everybody who's tapping in early. You know what I'm saying? Before it's like thousands of people tapping in or whatever the case is. Like I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. I appreciate everybody sharing and, you know, giving feedback. Because at the end of the day, you know, you could be doing anything. Oh, Brian Wilson, what's good, bro? I appreciate you tapping in. Thank you, man. I appreciate you tapping in, man. All right. I wanted to make sure I acknowledge everybody real quick, but I do appreciate you guys tapping in. So we were talking about, obviously we were talking about your passion, but then we're also talking about sharing your message consistently. So when it comes to showing up consistently and actually putting your message out there, a lot of people have a problem with doing that because what they're doing is they're trying to create instead of document. And when I read that, I was like, man, that's a bar. Like that's really, really important. So what happens is you get in the process of when you're creating, I want to make this perfect product. I want to make sure that it looks this way, it sounds this way, it has this lighting, it has this type of camera quality. Like you're just so on point with everything. You're trying to make sure everything that you don't create anything. You end up not doing nothing or anything. I'm sorry, because you have so many different things that you're trying to make happen. So when you're trying to create content, you have to shift from, okay, I'm trying to create and create and create to I'm just documenting. I'm documenting the process. I'm documenting what I have going on. I'm speaking on my thoughts and feelings towards this. And you're building an audience around that. And so example of that is, you know, if you're getting in the car and you're headed to, or if you're Uber and you're about to Uber, you're about to do this or whatever, you just hop on, you have the camera up and you just start talking to the camera. You start talking to your phone like, hey, I've been Ubering this much. I made $50 or whatever the case is. If you're doing that or whatever, you're just documenting your day. You're documenting your experience. And that's content. People will follow you because of that. And that's real. That's relatable. If that's what you're doing. Or like if you're a construction worker and you're like, man, this is my day. This is what I got going on. We building this. People will be interested in that. I've seen people interested in people just sleeping online. So the point is that showing up consistently doesn't look like you have to have a perfect camera, a perfect lighting system, perfect microphone, all that stuff. Showing up consistently is just showing up with your voice, just getting your voice, getting your message out there. And as you do that, you'll notice that you're able to fine tune a lot more of what you're trying to say to people. You know what I'm saying? Initially, you might just be talking about whatever, but then down the line, you'll realize like, hey, I really actually enjoy this. You know, I enjoy talking about this. I enjoy hitting on this topic, and my audience is enjoying this. They're enjoying when I'm giving commentary on this or when I'm sharing feedback on this. So when I say showing up consistently, that's what I mean. I don't necessarily mean you have to show up in perfect form. I mean, just show up as you are and who you are. And that's what's going to be long lasting because you don't have to put on for that. When you're constantly putting on, it's going to appear, it's going to feel like work. And you're never going to be able to be consistent with that. You're going to fall off because of that. But if you're just showing up exactly as you are and you're just talking and having a conversation with people, they're going to appreciate that. And not only that, but it's going to build your audience or your tribe. And that's when you gain the following. So anyone you've seen that has like a big following is because they've really been authentic to themselves a lot of times. I would say 99% of the time. They're authentic to who they are, and they're giving the message to, you know, in the way that speaks to them, and their audience connects with that. There's an audience for everything. There's billions of people in the world or whatever. There's 362 million people in the United States alone. And it might be a little more, a little less than that. That was the last time I looked. I think it was that was a number. You guys can comment and let me know if I'm correct on that. But so with that number, it's like most people don't realize that there's something for everybody. So even if you think back to high school, there was a certain subset of group of people for everything, right? So you had the gothic people, you had like the hipsters, you had, you know, the hip hop heads, like, you know, everybody had like a group. That same thing applies in the real world. So you're still able to get a connection with people based off of who you are and what you like, because other people are going to be interested in that too. You're not the only person that's interested in this or that. Like, there's a ton of people who are interested in the same exact thing that you're interested in. If you just share it and you talk about it, there's going to be an audience for it. So you'll see that and you'll notice that over time. And kind of jumping around a little bit here, but I wanted you guys to know that with people, with entrepreneurs specifically, your goal is to help people solve their problems. So most people run away from their own problems. Entrepreneurs run towards other people's problems, which means that they're trying to help people solve whatever they have going on in life. And they want to 10x that. So they say, okay, I'm gonna solve this one person's problem, like big problem, and then I can scale that. So now I'm solving like 10, 20, 30 people's problem. You see what I'm saying? So you're constantly able to build that that business or that service or whatever you have going on, because you've thought of an idea of how to serve people and how to help people, because that's the only way you build a business at the end of the day. The more people you help, the more money you'll make. If that's your goal, then, you know, that's what you should be doing. You should be focused on helping people, because everything else will fall in line if you're doing that. But a lot of times people just ain't doing it. People aren't doing that. So I wanted to share that with you guys, because I just feel like it's important to understand the why behind what you're doing and how to truly connect with the, you know what I mean, with the audience and get stuff out there. So another part of just being a content creator is, if you ever notice that when you look at certain celebrities, you look at certain influencers or whatever the case is, they usually don't have a neutral stance. If you look at it, really, they usually have like a stance that some people are extreme, like they're crazy with it or whatever. They're like, hey, you know what? Just eat raisins for the rest of your life and you're gonna lose weight. And then there's some people that was like, hey, you know what? Do intermittent fasting and you'll lose weight. But they're never really neutral. They're not like food pyramid. If you stick to this food pyramid or whatever, this is where you're going to be in life. You're going to be good. You'll be healthy. They usually have more polarizing messages, and that attracts attention, which turns into money. So if you pay attention to that, you'll notice that, okay, my messaging has to be a little more polarizing, because I can't just share the status quo, because then you fall in with everyone else. And the messaging has to be authentic to what you actually truly believe. But the point is, most people fall in that category, but they just try to side to the neutral category, because they're like, you know what, I don't want to rock the boat too much. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to do this, instead of just staying truly into, you know, what you actually think. So for example, like herbalists, like one of my friends here, Rambo, tuned in, and you know, he's a herbalist. He's a vegan, and he believes in certain things, and he says the messaging a certain way, and it's polarizing. So that's just like a case study, like an example. And if you look at his messaging, you'll see that that's what he's doing. He's literally giving his messages unapologetically, but they don't fall in a neutral standpoint. He's not giving like, oh, you know, you guys can eat meat, you guys can do this. He's like, no, don't eat meat, don't do this. And a lot of people don't agree with that. Some people do agree with that. He's saying, hey, you know what? Pharmaceutical drugs aren't good, yada, yada. That's not a neutral stance. So that's going to be more polarizing. That's going to attract attention. It's going to be people who's going to say, hey, I don't agree with you. Hey, I do agree with you. But he's growing an audience based off of that. So he went from, you know, having 500 followers to over 500,000, almost a million followers on Instagram, based off of his messaging, based off of him being authentic to who he was. And that's what I mean. So a lot of times when you're speaking or you're connecting, that's the that's the type of messaging that you want to have. You want to make sure that you're not boring. You know what I'm saying? You're not boring. You're able to connect with your audience. You're able to have those conversations with your audience, and you're truly putting out your messaging in a way that resonates with the people. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys when it came to just creating content, finding your passion, and just understanding that you have to connect with people on a different level. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just keep doing that, what you've been doing, and think that is good. And if you shift your focus to helping people, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna make the change. Hold on, I got a comment here. I was trying to see who it was. Give me a second, guys. Because it pops up and then it just like goes away. It's super weird. I don't understand why it does that. Yeah, hold on one second. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened to the message, but oh, there we go. Real recognize real. Rosemary, I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. All right, guys. So that book that I was telling you guys about is actually called Expert Secrets by Russell Brand. I think that's the name of it. Yeah, Russell Brunson, actually. So if you want to, definitely check out that book. A lot of the talking points that I discussed came from that book because I wanted to like after I realized that a lot of things that I was actually doing personally was in the book as far as just cultivating the audience, but I was just doing it naturally. It just really came naturally to me. So when I recognized that, I was like, you know what? Let me share these principles because this isn't something that's exclusive to me or something that only I can do. Anyone can do it. Anyone can build an audience. Anyone can speak from their heart. Anyone can be authentic to who they are. Um, thank you. Hey, Kevin, I appreciate you putting that in the chat. Thank you. So everybody, I'm going to put this up here. So it's Expert Secrets. Expert Secrets by Russell Branson. I just put it on the screen there. So you guys check that book out. Like I said, it's a really good book. A lot of the things that I spoke on are in the book. So a lot of the talking points are there, but I want you guys to have that. So make sure you tap into that. But yeah, so back to what I was saying. I'm sorry. Because I got distracted with that. Someone was calling me at the same time. Actually, it's the guy that I do the podcast with. So we're about to actually do the podcast at 7. He's probably hitting me up to let me see if I'm still good. But this is live, so obviously I'm gonna give y'all the real of what's actually going on instead of the fluff. This is just us just talking, man. Us having a good time. But yeah, man. So I hope that was good for you guys. I hope that gave you guys some insight into how to cultivate an audience, how to find and develop your passion, consistency, sharing your message, and just building a tribe around your messaging, around who you are. So just understanding that you have to have a certain amount of polarity. You have to be polarizing with some of your messaging so you don't just fall in the crowd of a whole bunch of people saying the same neutral stance. It doesn't mean that you have to, like, if you look at anyone who's grown, like I was saying earlier, you'll notice that they have a polarizing message a lot of time. Their message isn't like mainstream. Even when it comes to like the relationship guru people and all these different people, you may not agree with them, but they understand how to cultivate their audience. They understand how to be extreme to where they're able to build you know what I'm saying? They're able to build an audience. And I'm not saying you have to do that in that way. Don't get me wrong. You can still be polarizing, but in a positive way. I'm not saying that their way is negative or what they've done is negative, but you know what I'm saying? It's ways to do it to where people can connect with you because they're like, man, like I truly love his messaging. I truly love what he's doing and how he's doing it in this way or how she's doing it in this way. So yeah, that's important. Let me get a drink of water. But yeah, so comment, let me know. What are you guys currently working on? Do you guys have your passions already? Do you guys know what you're trying to accomplish in life? Where are you at? Where are you at in the journey? Are you focusing on just growing consistently right now? Are you so focusing on finding that niche or that business that you love or that you're passionate about? Like, just let me know. Let me know in the comments of where you're at currently, and let's talk about it for a little bit before I jump off. I'll give you guys a second to comment. Absolutely. I just saw your comment. Sorry, I just joined. But would you comment on your perspective of being polarizing without being negative? That's great. I'm definitely going to comment on that. Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. All right, cool. So Carmen asks, sorry, I just joined, but would you comment on your perspective of being polarizing without being negative? All right, so great question or a great comment. So essentially, what I meant by that was a lot of people. Well, first, I'll go back to the genesis of why I said the statement in the first place. So when you're building community, you'll notice that a lot of people who are content creators who have built communities, who have grown, they usually have a polarizing stance. They're not normally neutral. Neutral usually doesn't bring you money. It really doesn't bring you growth, because you're in the midst of a ton of other people who have neutral stances. Polarizing attracts attention and it attracts money. But what I meant by the negativity part of it is some people can be polarizing, but in a way that it tears down others, a way that it's like anti something else or whatever. So basically, you can be polarizing and say things that are like, for example, Rambo, and I used him earlier or whatever. He's a herbalist, and you guys may be familiar with him. One of my friends here on Facebook. And essentially, what he did was he built his audience up, but he built his audience up on positivity. So what he did was he taught people about herbs. He taught people about vegan lifestyle. That's a positive approach. You see what I'm saying? Now, other people have become successful and polarizing because they took a hate approach. So that's more so what I mean by negativity. They took approach of, you know what, these people are terrible people, and a whole bunch of people agree with them. Like, yep, they're terrible people. So that's more so what I mean by that negative polarity compared to the positive. Let's see. So Kevin, hopefully to answer your question, Carmen, if you have a follow-up, feel free to ask it, man. I appreciate the engagement and us just chopping it up. So let's see. I definitely got my passion going and growing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I've been very productive since the beginning of the year. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think that's what it's all about, man. Just understanding what your passion is and being consistent and showing up within it every single day. Let's see. Rose, I am staying consistent is getting to be a nice flow, especially because I am allowing myself to follow my behavior analysis and analyze different topics. All right. And then thanks so much. I needed this. It's okay to feel alone during your individual process. However, people in similar lights, such as this, are helpful in knowing it's okay to move forward and okay to be outside of your box, especially as entrepreneurs. Now, that is firstly, you're welcome, Rosemary. I am really happy that this message was received well. And that's what it's about. I think I talked about that earlier, actually. You not putting your messaging out there, you not putting your voice out there, you not being your purpose is robbing someone else of that blessing, is robbing someone else of that ability to overcome whatever they're going through in their life. So you have to speak. You have to do the things that you've already been called to do. You can't run away from them because you're hurting other people by doing so. Your inaction is hurting others. And I mentioned that earlier, and I should have made that a typo. Actually, I'll probably do a video on inaction is hurting other people because that's like a polarizing statement or whatever, right? Because some people actually care about other people and some people don't. And they're like, man, shoot, I'm just trying to make sure I'm good. But the fact of the matter is, you're not good because you're not living in your purpose. You're not in your alignment. Because if you were, you'd be blessing other people. It's a thing that comes one and the same. No matter what, you're going to bless other people. Even if some people are like, oh, well, I'm not trying to help other people. I'm not trying to do this, but you're going to. A billionaire, Amazon, they're helping other people, regardless of how you look at it. They're helping a lot of other people. A lot of people have jobs because of Amazon. He's a billionaire though. He did what he was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that case may be, he had the idea, he executed on it. I'm not going to get into that whole thing, but my point is that you living in your purpose, doing what you're supposed to do, is going to bless other people. And by you not doing that, you're hurting other people, not just yourself. So you're being actually selfish by not doing what you're supposed to do, by not moving forward with your purpose. So that's yeah. I hope that resonated with someone. I hope that helped somebody because that's what it's about. That's what it's about, man. So I'll continue to be consistent and continue to show up and continue to speak. And whatever thoughts, ideas, or anything else that I have, I'm definitely going to share them with you guys. And I hope it helps, man. I hope it helps. But yeah, anybody else got anything else before I jump off here? My co-host told me we're good until 7:30, so I don't have to jump off as quick as I thought. So I'll be able to hit a quick snack or whatever, and then get to the hour podcast that we're about to do after this. But before I jump off, just wanted to make sure everybody was good and I answered anything else. Let me put that up real quick. Oh, your inaction is hurting others. Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I don't know why that hit me while we were on this live, but yeah. Your inaction is hurting other people, man. So that's what it's about, man. We're gonna keep moving forward, keep rocking, keep doing our thing, and keep showing up, man, every day, every single day. I appreciate everybody tuning in though. And yeah, man. Y'all hold it down. Peace.